Yo, shout out to everybody. We're live. Just waiting for Jeff to get in the building. Should be in soon. Hopefully, within the next 5 or 10 minutes. But the topic for today is Tico Martinez and Kid Galahad, and to me, more importantly, Amir Khan and Kell Brook. For those who don't know, apparently, and I have to say apparently, the fight has been signed by Kell Brook. Kell Brook has agreed and signed to fight Amir Khan. What I'm wondering is who did he sign with? Who's the promotional company? Who uh is it a joint? Because the last time I checked, Kell Brook don't or Kell Brook and Eddie Hearn's relationship is pretty sour. And then Amir Khan, I don't know the last time he had a fight, but I don't think his last fight was with Eddie Hearn either. So I doubt that fight is being promoted by Eddie Hearn. But on a whole, who's the promoter for that fight? Who sent who a contract? These are all the questions I want to know. You second Ezra's in the building. Shout out to you, bro. And Adrian, shout out to you, Adrian, as well. To me, the what's it called? The whole Amir Khan Kell Brook sagas lasted a lot longer than British fans would have hoped. We would have thought they would have fought in their prime, maybe 6 years ago, 5 years ago, when Kell Brook and Amir Khan were both campaigning at 147. Kell Brook was the IBF champion. Amir Khan was floating through the weights, but he still had a very good name in the UK. That's when the fight should have been. Now it just looks like these two dudes are just trying to hang in for last minute payday. Chris Eubank and Liam Williams has just been announced. Wow, that's another good fight. I mean, but I don't know, is that with Sky or with BT? Because I know Williams is BT and Eubanks with Sky. So let me know, Jamie. Is it with Sky or is it with BT? But that fight's announced. That's a real good fight, especially for the British fans who want to see a domestic matchup. Two British fighters, two come forward fighters. Jamie Leroy says Sky Sports, bro. Fair enough. So that means Liam Williams should potentially be on the should be moving over to Sky Sports. I wonder how much years he's got left on his contract with Queensbury and Frank Warren. I wonder how long he's got left on his contract, because that would mean his last two fights have been on promotional companies that are not Frank Warren. So that would be interesting. That's just a quick side note. Hopefully they could potentially put Riakpo and Ngabu on that undercard as well, with Ngabu being in the same stable as Liam Williams. And obviously Riakpo being signed to Sky, Eubank being signed to Sky, and Riakpo needing a big fight. That would hopefully be a matchup that they're trying to make. But on a whole, going back to the topic, that is Eubank, that is Kell Brook and Amir Khan. I feel like, one, I want to know how Kell Brook said it was the biggest fight in Britain, or the biggest British fight or whatever. To me, that is obviously not the truth. Everybody still probably wants to see Fury versus AJ. But I feel like not only is it not the truth, but it's also very misleading. Because probably for the first time, this year and last year was the first time in my life where Kell Brook and Amir Khan haven't come to my mind once this year. Not once. And last year. They never came to my mind once. I never thought, oh, when is Kell Brook going to come and fight again? When is Amir Khan going to fight again? Never came to my mind. So nobody was really calling for that fight. And with boxing being where it is right now, Britain doesn't really need an Amir Khan and a Kell Brook. they don't really need that for a fight. I mean, it's probably gonna sell, but you got fights like Lyndon Arthur, Anthony Yard, you know, and you got prospects coming through. As Jamie just said, you got Liam Williams versus Chris Eubank. That is a fight that British fans need. That is a fight British fans need. Fury versus AJ, British fans need. Fury versus White, British fans need. Amir Khan and Kell Brook, British fans don't really need that. You know, hopefully we get the winner of Anthony Yard and Lyndon Arthur to fight Callum Johnson, another all British fight. We what's that fight we had just the other day? Parker versus Morrison, another all British fight. Where there has to be a set direction for these fights. It doesn't look like there's a set direction for Eubank, not Eubank, for Kell or Amir Khan, other than chasing money. Bill Wall, you are definitely new. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share. Yeah, 100%, bro. I just feel like British fans don't need a what's it called? They don't need a what was I gonna say? They don't need Amir Khan versus Kell Brook. I mean, that fight is pretty much 5 years old, you know, and nobody really wants to see that. And where does the winner and the loser obviously has to go into retirement, but where does the winner go from here? You don't really see the winner going up at, well, if let's say Kell Brook won, for example, he's already lost to Crawford, he's already lost to Spence, so you can't see him fighting the elite at 147. Is it a case of them just trying to get the most money? I mean, I really struggle to see the direction of where Kell Brook or Amir Khan goes after this fight. You know, maybe they're both looking at it as a retirement plan. If someone could tell me what promotional company's putting the money up for this fight, I would really want to know, because I doubt it's Matchroom. It could be Queensbury, it could be Frank Warren, but again, knowing Amir Khan's never really had the best relationship with Frank Warren, so I doubt it's Frank Warren. It'd be interesting to see who's putting the money up for that fight. Anyone who has any information on that, please let me know, because I'm pretty sure it's not Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren. And another thing is, like, is the fight big enough to be on pay-per-view? I know many people are going to say yes, it is, because Kell Brook and Amir Khan both have big names, but where they are in their career, it doesn't really, to me, it shouldn't be a pay-per-view, you know, but it's a bit like Joseph Parker and Derek Chisora. It might give you action, and yeah, both dudes have a good name, but in terms of the actual quality of the fight, I don't think it will be there. But saying that, the promotion will be massive. The press conference, I can imagine, will be massive. Weigh-in will be massive. You know, the face-offs, I'm pretty sure they're going to do something like the gloves are off, the behind the scenes, the history of the fight. It's literally like a shit version of Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. You know, when that fight was like 7, 8 years old, and then the fight ended up happening? That's what this feels like. This feels like a shit version of Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. Like, both fighters are way past their prime. This fight should happen so much years before, but they still got the name behind them. How do you see the fight going? Khan versus Kell? That's a hard one, Jamie, because in my opinion, I don't know where either one is in their career. You know, when the fight first happened, I always thought that Amir Khan had more of a chance than people gave him. Because he was chinny, I knew a lot of people would think that Kell Brook was just walking, but I've always thought Kell Brook was very, very slow. And I feel like Amir Khan could definitely take advantage of that. But obviously, you always have to worry about that one shot that lands. And up until that point, I think Amir Khan will be winning. It's just how good is Kell Brook at landing that money shot at this stage in his career. I feel like smart money will say Kell Brook, purely and simply because you can't trust Amir Khan's chin, and power is the last thing to go. if he lands it, he probably does get Amir Khan out of there. But even with that being said, I'm not 100% sure that he beat. I'm not 100% sure that he beats Amir Khan, because I think Amir Khan could win a lot of rounds, and I also feel like Kell Brook's punch resilience ain't that great neither. And offensively, Amir Khan can get off on him. You know, he can also land some shots. He's good at landing combinations. And as the fight gets on later in the back end, you can really see Amir Khan winning a fight on points. I can see it, but on a whole, it's very difficult to say. Both of the dudes have been out of the ring for so long. They both have shown punch resilience issues in their previous fights. They both ain't probably in the best of shape. The motivation probably ain't there. Saying that, they're probably going to be really motivated to fight each other. But on a whole, it's very difficult to call. Adrian says, by the way, Jamie, join the fantasy league, bro. You've been in the comments for a minute. You need to join this fantasy league. Adrian says, at what weight would that fight be at? I'm assuming 147, but Kell Brook looked real weak on the scales, weak against Crawford. I don't know if that's because he's been at 154, then dropping back down and all of that. I don't know if it's because of that, but I would want it to be at a weight class where they're both at their strongest and they both agree with. Because at this stage, they ain't fighting for belts. So the only thing that us as fans could hope for is that they're both at their best, so we can get at least an entertaining fight. You know, I don't want them to strip themselves down to make 147, because at this point, neither of them are going to win a world title at 147, so they don't have to worry about rankings. Yo, I'm school right now, tuning in. Oh, thanks for that. Cool. Padman Boxing says, Amir Khan came on, man. I'll fight both of them the same night. Padman, I can imagine you fighting both of them, but you gotta stay in your weight class, because those dudes are real small in comparison to you, man. And with the punch resilience that Amir Khan has, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets knocked out. You know, you're a real big dude for him. What was I gonna say? I was going to talk about something else about Amir Khan and Kell Brook. Can't even remember. What was I gonna actually say? I spoke about the promotional company, the weight class. I can't even remember what I was gonna say. I think it had something to do with the Padman says, lol, I'm just clowning, man. Miss you guys. John Hughes says, Khan vs. Brook fight should have been made years ago. The fight is well past its sell by date. John Hughes, shout out Hughes for being in the building, and shout out Padman for the comment before. But nah, man. This fight is way past its sell by date. But what you understand, John Hughes, you gotta look at where they are in their careers right now. There's not much fights for neither of them that the fans want to see. And to be fair, I don't even think the fans want to see Khan versus Brook. But it's all they have to offer. And trust me, once the fight is signed, sealed, delivered, it is going to be absolute mayhem. You're going to see everybody just try and, what's it called, milk this rivalry. Because this has been a rivalry for so long. And if you think about it, Kell Brook's career has really gone where it's gone because of Amir Khan. You know, Kell Brook has spent his whole life trying to replicate, live up to, overshadow Amir Khan, where in actual fact he should have just stayed in his own lane. Because when you were IBF champion, there was no need for you to go up and fight Golovkin. No need. When you were fighting, there was also, if you think about it, didn't even need to fight Crawford. Amir Khan fought Crawford, so you thought, let me see if I can do better than Amir Khan. Your whole entire career was following where Khan went. Khan went up to middleweight or whatever to fight Canelo. You done the same thing. You always were trying to overshadow and outshine Khan because in your eyes, you was a world champion, but Khan was always getting the more admiration. He was the more famous fighter. And I understand that, but you should have just stayed in your own lane. You stayed in your own lane, you know, you would have gone down as a much more historical fighter because you went over to America, you fought the likes of Sean Porter and you won the world title. You had a very big fan following in Sheffield. You should have just stuck with it. You know, Khan was over there getting knocked out every week. Eventually, you would have had to come knocking. You ended up trying to chase him, and then you fell off. And you're both sitting at the bottom of the totem pole now, looking at life like, what's next? Well, I guess the smartest move is for you to fight each other, but there ain't much movement after that. Once one of you lose and once one of you win, I don't know where either of you guys go. James Leroy says Bud gave them both a beating. Khan and Kel both quit. Difficult to say Kel quit because the ref stopped the fight, but at the same time he didn't really fight back. Once he got hit with that money shot, the truth is this dude's career went down straight after that injury against Golovkin. That really didn't help him. Once he got hurt by Golovkin, it was pretty much the end of his career. Eye injury is that's why I'm worried about Dubois. I'm really worried about Dubois because once you get an eye injury like that, you know, it's very difficult to bounce back from. Real difficult to bounce back from. So it's intriguing because whose punch resistance is worse? Obviously, Amir Khan's. But I also feel like at this stage, maybe Amir Khan's punch power, maybe not punch power, but his ability to deliver a power shot, his delivery mechanisms when it comes down to delivering a punch, landing the power punches, landing combinations, that might expose Kell Brook's punch resilience as well. You know, because Kell Brook looked real shot against Terence Crawford. You know, he looked like 5% of himself. Brook screwed his career by fighting Golovkin. He should have stayed in his weight class. Golovkin, then Spence, was never going to end well. Definitely not. He tried to be hero doing that. He took on the number one fighter at 160 at the time. They took on the number one fighter at 147. Craziness because making weight for both fights was going to be impossible. Making 160 and your natural 147, nearly impossible. Because you got to put on all of that additional weight, you lose speed. And then this guy just coming way stronger than you had. You didn't have the punch power to get him off you. And then when you come back down to 147, you got to lose all that muscle. You got to get acclimatized to the weight, get your timing back, get your speed back. And then you're taking on the best fighter at 147. It's almost impossible. It's an impossible mission. Didn't Billy Joe get the same eye injury? Do you think he will be back and fight Chris Eubank? And how do you see that fight going? Personally, at this stage, I'm picking Eubank to beat Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders' career went backwards when now, for whatever reason, you can say whatever you want, but ever since he tested positive for the nasal spray, his career just hasn't looked the same. He fought David Lemieux, Willie Monroe, and he was just setting the world on fire. You know, everybody was looking at him like, yeah, he could be the next best thing at 160. He then had a fight where I think he was way out of shape because he was supposed to fight Andre. He didn't. He was way out of shape and he fought at 177 pounds or something. He weighed in that high. He was real out of shape. Then he came back and fought Shefat Asufi at 168. He didn't look great in that fight. Then he came back and fought on the KSI undercard. He looked real bad in that fight. He had to get a knockout to win it, and he was down on the cards after 11. Then he fought Martin Murray. Some people were saying it was a good fight. I didn't really think it was that good of a fight, in my opinion. And then he fought Canelo. you look at where he's gone in his career, it's just gone down, down, down. And I just kind of feel like at this stage, it's a young man's game, and he's not really had the wars in boxing, but he's also not looked after his body outside of the ring, ballooning up in between fights, sorry, going in from weight class to weight class, not taking competitive fights, not taking boxing serious, getting into trouble, focusing on things that's not necessarily boxing, hasn't really helped him. And at this stage, it's about motivation. This is a dude who really thought he was going to beat Golovkin and he didn't, so it's really interesting to see. It's interesting to see where he goes. I do think that fight won't happen. I don't think Saunders comes back to boxing. I don't think he does. He's another dude who I just feel like he's not gonna be happy knowing that he's not the number one fighter in the world. I think that's always been where he saw himself. And he's a dude who I personally believe has underachieved in boxing. With the natural boxing skills that he had, the talent, the variety in his game, the fact that he was a southpaw, awkward, slick, he could take a shot as well. He was physically strong, fleet of foot. He was very crafty, understood. He had very good ring IQ. He really should have done better. I know people are going to say he's a two-weight world champion, but if you think about it, none of the fights at 168 were meaningful enough. I know he had a meaningful fight against Canelo, but he lost. And in the fights at 160, you could have seen much better fights. I mean, him versus Andrade would have been a good fight. Him versus Golovkin would have been a good fight. Him versus Eubank in a rematch would have been a good fight. These are him versus Callum Smith at 168 would have been a good fight. So these are fights that he just didn't get, and you just look back and you think, you could have done better in your career. Former Olympian, former world champion, you really could have done better. And he's probably going to look back at his career and think he achieved a lot, but he could have achieved so much more, especially in terms of just actual fight nights in itself. He could have done so much more. Moving on to Kid Galahad versus Tico Martinez. This fight is a fight, if you don't know, is going to be in the fantasy league. So those who aren't in the fantasy league, go to G5JeffTv.com and join the fantasy league to basically win $500. That's the cash prize for this season. Where in week 2, it's still all to play for. It's a double header: Munguia versus Rosado and Tico Martinez versus Kid Galahad. Kid Galahad's first title defense of his IBF featherweight title at 126. This fight's going to be interesting. I know Tico Martinez had a good fight against Barrett. Barrett is a completely different level to Kid Galahad, though. Kid Galahad's a real good boxer, and in his last fight, which was against the Chinese dude, I think his name's Zhu or something, he looked really good. He boxed well. He schooled him, really made him miss. And then when it was time for him to put the pressure on and step up the levels and really put his opponent under fire, he done that. So you got to give him credit for that performance. This would be his second. The first one was his when he won the title. This would be his first title defense, but his second fight for that strap, because he also had the fight with him versus Josh Warrington for the IBF title, and he didn't win that one. But in that fight, we saw that he's a very good boxer. He can box. He's very good at tying up if it gets difficult. But really and truly, he's very good at winning rounds, staying on the outside, using his jab, using his ring IQ. He's got good head movement. He's decent fighter in the pocket. His punch power ain't great, but he showed in his last fight that with good accuracy and good pressure, you can still get your opponent hurt. So he showed that. And in this fight, it's pretty much the same thing. Let's go to the comments. Jamie Leroy says, Kid is a very good boxer. I think he got robbed against Warrington. Yeah, many people think that as well. Many people think that. Personally, I feel like that fight was real close. I feel like because Josh Warrington was the champion at the time, you can potentially give him the fight, but I wouldn't be upset if people gave it to Josh Warrington. Kid Galahad, sorry. Saunders was goal hanging for the big Golovkin or Canelo fight, and that stopped him taking the risky fights that would have defined his career. No, definitely. He really wanted that fight, and he just kept going on hiatuses outside of the ring. I remember after that, was it the Akovov fight? I think his name's Akovov. He wasn't. He did it. He again. That was him being outside of the ring, not looking after his body. He had the good win against Andy Lee, but on a whole, his whole career has just been stagnant, up and down, and don't really feel like he. I feel like he needs to work a lot on. I think he needs to work a lot on just staying stable and recovering. You know, get back to getting your head in the right place. See if you can get your eye better. See if you can even fight again at that level before you even think about it, Eubank. Do you see any of the British lightweights winning a world title? Oh, light heavyweights? No. I mean, Buatsi's got the best chance as it stands. I think if Buatsi does well against Vlasov, but I think Vlasov is a real big step, man. I'm really not confident about that fight for Joshua Buatsi. Watching Vlasov against Gravatsky, watching him against Joe Smith, it's really. He's also fought Zerda Ramirez as well, Gilberto Ramirez. So watching him fight those dudes, I mean, he's gonna have to put in a stellar performance. And he's fighting against a guy who's real awkward. He's gonna make it real tricky. Buatsi likes to hurt his opponents, get his opponents knocked out. Vlasov's not going to be that one. And he's going to be able to exploit a lot of deficiencies that I've been saying I've seen in Buatsi. I've been talking about Buatsi's lack of head movement for a long time. Not many people have brought it up. Not many people have spoken about it, but I've seen it. People speak about it. But Vlasov's going to be someone who's going to be able to attack that. The fact that he's a southpaw as well means that we're going to see how good Buatsi's foot placement is. I've said it as well. I don't think Buatsi's got great foot placement. I feel like he's great. He's got good intensity. He's got good punch power, good punch variety, but his foot placement ain't great. His head movement ain't great. He's a dude who does load up on punches a lot, and that's going to be effective as well, because at times he can't load up against Vlasov because Vlasov ain't going to make him set his feet. He's always going to be pivoting left and right, left and right. Really and truly, Buatsi really needs to show us a whole nother game that we've not seen. Because I don't know, not his last fight against Bolotniks, the fight before that, he really struggled jab for jab against this dude because he couldn't get his head off the line. And I don't know if you guys remember, but he had a real big eye swelling. That was down to him just not getting his head slipping off the line, which I feel like that comes from practice and obviously building the right routines and habits when you're inside the ring. You know, when you throw that jab, get your head off the line. Make sure your foot's on the outside of your opponent's body. Making sure you're positioning yourself where you're on the outside of that person's jab so they can't land it. All of these things are going to be key when he fights Vlasov, because if he don't, he's going to lose. Because Vlasov is good at all of those things that I just mentioned. Getting guys to make mistakes, getting guys to not put their feet in the right place, getting guys to load up on shots but not land, getting guys to search for one big punch to knock him out but they don't knock him out. He's going to have Buatsi working for 12 minutes of every single round. To me, I don't think Buatsi's ever shown that in his career, so he's going to have to show that now. He's going to have to. If not, then there is no point. Golovkin is back in training, but I think he's fighting in Japan. Yeah, Golovkin's fighting Murata in December. He's fighting Murata, and I hope Murata knocks Golovkin out. But I don't know. You know, that would be a good fight, though. I'm definitely going to be live for that one. He's trying to get the last paydays. Can't see him fighting any big names now. Yeah, definitely. But the Eubank fight is always there. But once Eubank beats, or if Eubank beats Williams, Eubank should be looking to fight someone like an Andrade. You know, that would be a real good fight for Eubank, but at the same time, I don't know if Andrade is willing to go over to Sky, because I know Eubank's got this deal with Sky where Sky are putting a lot of money behind him, so I know they ain't gonna send him over to another promotional company. Kane Dingle Boxing, shout out to you. Never seen you before. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Please go to G5JeffTv.com and join our fantasy league, where this is our second season of our prediction fantasy league. So basically, it's where we do fight picks, and you can predict the fights, and you can have a chance of winning $500. It's completely free to play. So go to G5JeffTv.com. But he says British light heavyweight scene is popping. I rate Buatsi, Yard, Lyndon Arthur, Callum Johnson, and all world level, and can become world champs. I assume you meant to say, not while Baturbia is around though. That's my problem. We've seen Johnson's just defensively not good enough, and we saw him fight Baturbia. He done well, but he got knocked clean out. Yard, we've already seen him at world level. He's failed. Buatsi, this is his biggest test. If he wins this fight, he's ready for a title fight. I don't know if he's gonna win it. I feel like whilst the likes of Joe Smith, looking at Joe Smith, he's probably the easiest champion to beat. But 1 second. Yeah, sorry. Joe Smith's probably the easiest champion to beat, but at the same time, I was at one of Yard's fights, and I was working the fight, and I was with most of the dudes from BT Sports, and I was like to them, why don't you guys match him up with Eubank Jr.? I'm not Eubank, Joe Smith Jr. And everybody was like, nah, Joe Smith Jr. is a bit too much of a big test. And that was people from BT Sports. That was people from BT Sports saying that Joe Smith Jr., this was before he even beat Vlasov. This was after he beat Alida Alvarez, I think. You know, and a lot of people were saying, oh, Joe Smith Jr. is too big of a fight. I even asked Tunde Ajayi about that fight, and he said he don't mind the fight. But again, he's another dude where the risk is detrimental, because he's a dude who can knock you out smooth. But the problem is are you willing to take that risk? And right now, Yard has to focus on Lyndon Arthur. If he beats Arthur, then personally, I just want to see these dudes fight. Personally, my ideal route for these guys would be, and it's funny because I said this, I think maybe a couple months ago. I said I want to see Arthur versus Yard, and the winner fight Callum Johnson, and I want to see Buatsi fight Vlasov. I said this. I wanted to see Buatsi fight Vlasov. When I watched Buatsi fight what's it called? When I watched Vlasov fight Bivol, I thought not Bivol. Vlasov fought Joe Smith Jr. When Vlasov fought Joe Smith Jr., I thought Vlasov done a real good Bivol impression. That's what I meant to say. Mad confused. Vlasov done a real good Bivol impression in the sense that the holes and the mistakes that Bivol made Joe Smith make, Vlasov also made Joe Smith make. The dudes like Alida Alvarez and Jesse Hart, they weren't able to expose those holes in Joe Smith Jr. But Vlasov was, by using the foot placement, by understanding the ring, by making sure he didn't get backed up, by making sure Joe Smith couldn't set his feet, by making sure that his foot placement was always in the right place, by making sure Joe Smith Jr. works for every minute of every single round, going backwards, going forwards. He makes sure he does that. That's one thing that he done well. And if Buatsi wants to fight a Bivol, which Eddie Hearn has spoken about, Buatsi said he does want to fight Bivol. And Eddie Hearn does want to make him fight Bivol. If that's the case, then this will be a good test, because Vlasov could replicate that same style. The same style that he's gonna see fighting a Bivol, he's gonna see against Vlasov. So if he can deal with that style, then he's ready for Bivol. But if he can't deal with that style, then Bivol's just going to deal with him even better. So it's not even about winning for Buatsi. It's about, obviously it's about winning, but it's about winning in a fashion where you can see if it's a range finder for a fight like Bivol, a fighter like Bivol. Is he gonna make enough steps in the right direction, learn enough things in the ring, correct enough mistakes that he's made previously, so he's ready for the likes of a Bivol or whoever. You know, that will be interesting. But I don't think none of them are at world level yet. And I don't think any of them are anywhere near the world title because the world champions are really good. Jamie Leroy says, Lawrence Okoli versus Bradis. Can you see that one? Apparently that's happening already. And someone told me, and I've worked with World Boxing Super Series before. I've worked on a Lawrence Okoli card. I've worked on a Bradis card. I've actually been to Latvia before and seen Bradis fight. And that fight, based on what I've been told, is supposed to be happening. It was supposed to happen this December, but Bradis had a cut or something, so I don't know if he's going to be able to make that fight. But if the fight happens, the longer the fight goes on, the better it is for Okoli. If the fight happens within the next 6 months, I really favor Bradis. But after that, you know, with Bradis being up in age and him already talking about moving to heavyweight, it'd be interesting to see how that fight goes. But Okoli can't beat Bradis how he's been fighting the rest of his opponents. This long arm standing out with your arm out, stepping back, walking guys onto right hands. You got to have a bit more variety fighting a guy like Bradis. Bradis probably one of the smartest fighters in the ring, pound for pound, top 5 definitely. He's got a real good boxing brain, and he's good at pulling shots. He will make you fight at any range he wants. At any range he wants to fight, he can fight at. So definitely not worried about that. What is your pecking order in the British light heavyweights? Right now, based on what I've seen, I'm going to say number one, you have to say is Callum Johnson, based on what he's done. But if you're basing it on form, if you're basing it on current form, I'll say Craig Richards. Craig Richards is still my number one light heavyweight in England. And I know many people are going to say they don't know what he's talking about. Craig Richards has actually got probably one of the better resumes at light heavyweight. He was unlucky in the what's that fight he had? That dude's name, Buglioni. He was lucky in that fight. Buglioni caught him at the right time. But he came back, he fought Andre Sterling, he done well in that fight. He fought, I can't remember, was it Summers or something? Can't remember. There was a dude he fought, he knocked him out in the first round. Then he fought Shakan Pitters, he knocked Shakan out. Then he fought Bivol. He done well in that Bivol fight. Then he also fought, was it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? He looked good on that card as well. I think it was the Babbage card. Yeah. So to me, he's in my top 5. He's my number one, sorry. He's in my number one. I still have to say Watsi's up there, Callum Johnson's up there. Another good fight at 175 is Jose Burton versus Dan Aziz. That's the fight I'm looking forward to. Dan is my guy. I really like Dan Aziz. He's my boy, like on a personal level. So I hope Dan Aziz beats Jose Burton, and he's ready to be in that mix of those British fighters. You know, the winner of Lyndon Arthur, they really should be fighting Callum Johnson. That really should be the next step. Callum Johnson versus the winner of Lyndon Arthur and Anthony Yard. That would be an interesting fight. And the winner after that, I think, could potentially be ready for a world title. I would prefer, if I was managing these guys' careers, this will be my pecking order. I'll say Arthur, Yard fight each other. Then they fight. The winner fights Callum Johnson. Then the winner fights, I don't know, someone like an Alida Alvarez, someone like a Jesse Hart, someone like a Zerdo Ramirez, someone at that level, someone like a Joe Smith Jr. someone at that world level before you fight Bivol or Beterbiev. Before you fight that cream of the cream, you need, those will be my steps. What is your prediction for Yard, Arthur? I think Yard's gonna win that. I think Yard's gonna probably get like a 4th, 5th round knockout. That's how I see it. John Hughes says, I agree. Craig Richards has been overlooked. Bro, trust me, like, he's a dude who I just feel like because he's not the most vocal and he's not the most glamorous, he's never really had the big promotional backing like an Anthony Yard and a Buatsi, and he's not part of a massive gym like Callum Johnson. He's not going to ever get the credit that he deserves. But Craig Richards is a dude who he's shown and proved on numerous occasions that he's a good fighter. You know, against Bivol, he done real well. He can hold his head high after a fight like that, because to me, he done better in the Bivol fight than Joe Smith done against Bivol. And Joe Smith's a world champion. He done better against Joe Bivol than Sullivan Barrera did as well. You know, that's another name which I would be looking if I was Anthony Yard or Lyndon Arthur, is someone like Sullivan Barrera. But Vlasov is a fantastic name for Buatsi. If Buatsi beats Vlasov, throw him in there with Bivol. Put him in there with Bivol right now. You know, you can put him in there in Bivol right now. Elder Boxer says, what's good? Shout out to you, Elder. Bruce Cole says, hey Shane, shout out to you, bro. We shouldn't be on there for that long. But again, obviously, for those who don't know, during the Fantasy League, this week is Tico Martinez versus Kid Galahad. Predict that fight correctly. And also Munguia versus Rosado. Predict that fight correctly. Those who are listening who haven't made their predictions, go and make their predictions so you can still win $500. For those who don't know, it's completely free to play. G5JeffTv.com. That's all you need to do to register for this season's prediction league. Right now, where this is the second week, but this week is double points. Conrad and Andre Southgate at the top of the leaderboard this season. This season is going to be a hard season because we got a lot more players this season than we have more players this season for the start of this season than we had that ended last season. Last season we had like 23. This season we already have 26. So it's going to be real interesting. Hopefully we can get to 50. You know, if we can get to 50, that would be fantastic. But that only comes through support. So those who haven't joined the Fantasy League, join the Fantasy League so you can win $500. It's free to play, as I said already. But yeah, how do I see Tico Martinez and Galahad ending? That's a tough one. On the whole, I think Kid Galahad will win. That's not the question. I think Kid Galahad wins pretty comfortably because I think he boxed way too good for Kiko. I think Zelfa Barrett I think it was Barrett that fought Tico Martinez. Correct me if I'm wrong, Elder, but I'm pretty sure it was Barrett. He just fought way too cautious or reserved. He tried to be a little bit too he tried to fight within himself a bit too much, whereas Kid Galahad isn't going to get overwhelmed with the occasion, isn't going to let Tico Martinez's pressure get on top of him. And I really feel like someone like Kid Galahad will probably win every single round. He's going to have some moments, isolated moments, where Tico Martinez is going to let his hands go through a lot of punches. But I just feel like Tico Martinez is long in the tooth. Kid Galahad is in real good form right now. His momentum is in a upward trajectory. And I would love, after this fight, I would love to see him fight Ray Vargas, Navarrete, who else would I mean, him versus Wood would be fantastic as well. I know that's at 130, but that'll be interesting to watch. I know who's got the even him versus Leo Santa Cruz will be a good fight. If Eddie Hearn can make that fight, put some money up for that fight. Him versus who else is at 126? Gary Russell Jr. Don't really see that fight happening, but those are the fights I'd be looking forward to. Yard needs to win that one, in my opinion. That's a career-defining fight. Yeah, 100%. That's a career-defining fight. He can't afford another loss. But at the same time, I think he beats him, bro. I have to keep it honest. When you watch the fight, The one time Yard went for it, the one time Yard showed his aggression and he just threw the technique and boxing in the bin, he just went forward and tried to land his money shots. He got the knockout. Oh, didn't get the knockout, but he could have got the knockout. Sorry, and I feel he'll get the knockout in this fight. You know, I feel like he hurt Arthur, and I just feel like he's gonna start the fight quick, and he's gonna go after Arthur as quick and as early as possible. Once he starts quick, I just feel like it's gonna be very difficult for Arthur to weather the storm. But if he does, he might be able to tire Yard. If he can tie him up, waste some time, get him to exert some energy, take him into the back end of the fight, take him into deep waters, and potentially get Yard tired and win the fight on points. I can see that happening as well. LW Boxing says Barry in 4. I can see that. But I don't think he's gonna end in a stoppage though. I feel like Kiko might last longer, but if Galahad gets the stoppage, give him credit, man. Give him credit. Do you think Canelo will fight Beterbiev? That is the fight I want to see, and who wins that in your opinion? Well, this is what you're gonna understand. If there is enough, if Beterbiev is about to fight Marcus Brown, if Beterbiev doesn't look that good, then Canelo will fight him. But if Beterbiev just walks through Marcus Brown, knocks him out, stops him, drops him, and absolutely annihilates him, Canelo ain't fighting him. Canelo picks his fights very wisely. You know, he'll wait until he sees enough regression, like he done with Kovalev. Oh, you had a tough fight against Eleider Alvarez, you got knocked out. Tough fight against Yard, I'll fight you. You know, you saw Golovkin, I ain't gonna fight you. He wasn't fighting Golovkin for years. Oh, you had a tough fight against Kell Brook. Tough fight against Danny Jacobs, I'll fight you. That's kind of how he's done it. When he first moved up to 168, he could have fought Callum Smith straight away. But he fought Rocky Fielding. But he saw enough holes in Callum Smith's game. Oh, you had a tough fight against John Ryder, I'll fight you. If based on what I've seen, I don't see how Canelo beats Beterbiev. Based on what I've seen. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I can't see how he beats him. Jeff says Canelo's going to have a field day offensively against Beterbiev. But what I keep saying is the last person to get Canelo going in reverse was Golovkin, and he won that fight. I know he got a draw, but if you watch the first Golovkin fight, Canelo had to go backwards. And Beterbiev will get Canelo going backwards. And that was the last time Canelo had a tough fight. And that was a fight he lost because he was going in reverse. We know we don't have a great reverse game. Anyone who's got the work rate, pressure, power, and strength and physical stature to make Canelo go in reverse. That's why the likes of Zerda Ramirez, Benavidez, Beterbiev are fights I want to see. Because they're gonna, even Joe Smith, they're gonna have the punch power, the aggression, and the size, physical strength to get Canelo going in reverse. Bruce Goals, shout out to you, bro. Jamie Leroy, John. Beterbiev kills him at 175. Yeah, it's very difficult for me to pick another winner. I can't pick anyone to beat Beterbiev right now. And if he goes out and mops Marcus Brown like I expect him to do, because Marcus Brown's very chinny, then it's going to be even longer night. Jamie Leroy, if Yard loses, it will be career defining. Where does he go from there? Bro, I don't know. But I don't think he's going to lose. I have to be honest. Oh, that boxing. December has a great schedule for boxing fans. Bro, November has a great schedule for boxing fans as well. I was reading through the other day. November has a great schedule. Shout out to you, D Hodges. Shout out to you, bro. LW Boxing, saluting each other. More salutes. Yard has poor footwork and can't cut the ring down. So I see him having problems taking advantage of his power. I've always said that. This guy, but I'll tell you why, because he fights side on. You can't cut off the ring fighting side on because that always gives your opponent a chance to escape. If you watch that fight, Lyndon Arthur literally just circled the fight the whole time. He just took steps to his left the whole time, and he was just going around like a clock the whole time, making the same steps. And because Yard walks down fighters, in a Philly show. You can't walk. Even the person who played the Philly show the best was Floyd. But when Floyd was walking fighters down, he never deployed the Philly show. Watch the Mosley fight. Watch the Mosley fight. When he took the fight to Mosley, he deployed the high guard. When he fought Castillo, when he was going for the knockout in the Castillo fight or the Gatti fight, he was square. You can't cut off the ring being side on, because it always gives your opponent a chance to step to your left, because that's an easy escape. You have to square up and cut off the ring much easier. You have to create angles for yourself and position your opponent. The problem is he just throws bombs without great foot placement. Neither does he throw punches that work in synchronicity with where he's standing. So he will throw a left hook knowing that he's standing on the right of his opponent. So if you miss that left hook, your opponent can just pivot you and take their step to the right and to their left, and they've created that opening. Once you're standing side on as an orthodox fighter, once you're walking forward, they can just pivot around your leading foot the whole time, especially if you lead with a leading left hook like Yard always does. You lead with that leading left hook, they pivot around your front foot, they're gone. They spin you every time. He really needs to learn how to throw punches in synchronicity with his foot placement, because there isn't. He will throw punches that are going complete contradiction with where he just stepped. There's no point taking a step to your left, but then throwing a left hook. That doesn't make sense, because your person is going to take a step to the right, they're gone. Jamie Leroy says, Yard can't outbox Lyndon. He got to go there and knock him out. Oh, yeah, everybody knows that. Lyndon is a much better boxer than Yard. But Yard can take confidence out of the fact that the one time he turned up the levels in that fight, Lyndon Arthur couldn't deal. He couldn't hang. And that is what we're going to see. That's what I think we're going to see again. Yard's going to start the fight with a house on fire. He's going to come out throwing punches, really, really trying to stick it on Lyndon Arthur. And it's going to be difficult after then. You know, if Lyndon Arthur can survive the storm, then he's got a good chance. But I don't see him doing that, if I'm being deadly honest. 52 minutes in. Let's see if anyone else drops any comments. Let me know what you guys think of the Fantasy League, by the way. You know, the prediction league, for those who don't know. Let me know, because if you want anything, any changes, any updates, if you want any information, let me know. John Hugh, will be good to hear from you, because you're not part of the Fantasy League, and Jamie Leroy. Let me know what you guys think about the prediction league that we got on G5JeffTv.com. You know, what we can do to add to the package that we have right now to entice new people coming in, what we can do to improve the overall interaction of the channel, as well as what would you guys like to see. But if you could center it around the Fantasy League as well, because maybe you guys just don't like the fights that we put on there. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of the Fantasy League. John Hughes says, Yard is not a pressure fighter and does not have the footwork to corner Arthur. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. But the problem that you have to think about also is Arthur has to land punches as well. Arthur ain't just going to be able to run the whole fight, because Yard's going to be able to chase him. And it wasn't difficult for Yard in the first fight to cut off the ring when he decided to actually charge forward. He just didn't charge forward. I just feel like Yard needs to throw caution to the wind and really go for it. Forget all of the stepping around left to the right, all of that. Go forward and charge at him. I feel like that will be a much better game plan. Trying to be strategic, just don't think is going to be the right way forward. I have to be honest. Just don't think it will be. I feel like Yard has to work on his foot placement, but for this fight, just go out there and be a bulldozer. You know, really try and plant your game plan and literally just go out there from the round one and let your hands go. You know, really try and be aggressive as possible. And a very good example of what I was saying about standing side on was Adrian Broner. When Adrian Broner walks fighters down, he can't throw punches until his feet are still, because he stands in that side on Philly show as well. Dudes who cut off the ring wall and throw punches well going forward are all square. Good front foot fighters don't use the Philly shell to cut off the ring because it just doesn't make sense. But Yard is still using this side on stance when he's walking forward. It's just unnecessary. You know, a dude that powerful, a dude that strong, a dude that big with those physical advantages shouldn't be fighting the way he fights. You say he's not a pressure fighter. Yeah, you're 100% right about that. He should be a pressure fighter though. He should, with the power that he has, with how dynamic he is with his punch variety and his punch placement. He has various punches. He has power in most of his shots. He can use his left, he can use his right. He has very good punch speed. He's very athletic. He really shouldn't be fighting the fight that Tunde's got him fighting right now. And this is no disrespect to Tunde, but in terms of modeling a fighter and positioning a fighter down to a certain like molding a fighter to be a certain way, he hasn't molded Yard in the right way by using all the attributes that he has. You know, try to work on as much fundamentals as possible. John Hugh, I can see Arthur picking him off as Yard comes in and gets tagged with the right hand. You can say that, but eventually Yard's gonna get Yard's Arthur hasn't showed me that his back foot game is that good where he's just gonna be able to run circles around Yard. Eventually Yard's gonna be able to cut off the ring and get on the inside. Jamie Laurie, who would be a good trainer for Joshua? I'd personally say the best trainer for Joshua would be someone like I was first saying Virgil Hunter because I feel like Virgil Hunter will get AJ head movement right, which I feel has been a big problem with AJ's game. He will get him much lighter, much more athletic, get him using his feet, which I think is his worst problem. I think his cut-off game is real weak. His foot placement ain't that great. So whilst he's got bounce in some of his step, and when the Ruiz fight, we saw him fight off the back foot, but cutting off the ring and his actual foot placement isn't that great. Who I would say is his best, who I would say is probably the best, is someone who's going to be able to utilize the mind, you know. And I actually like Jonathan Banks. I know Jonathan Banks worked with Dylan White. I know Jonathan Banks worked with the Klitschko brothers. But he would get AJ mentally stable. I also like the fact that he coaches European fighters to fight American style. He done it with Golovkin. Whoa, Jeff, what time do you call this?
What's going on?
I can't hear you.
Mic check, mic check. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
1 second. No, I definitely can't hear you. Speak again.
Mic check, mic check.
Those in the comments, let me know if you can hear Jeff. If it might be me, 1 second, Jeff. Let me jump on.
Yo, put a 1 in the comment section if you can hear me.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Mic check, 1 2 1 2.
Yeah, you're real low. I assume that's me. 1 second.
Jamie Leroy said he can hear me.
Second.
I went back down for the count, bro. Unexpected. Jamie Leroy said he can hear me. Dwayne Sewell said he can hear me.
Keep going through the comments, Jeff. Well,
Where were you at? Who would be a good trainer for Joshua? Hold on, let me find that real quick. I got you. Did we cover that already, or you want me to cover that? You want me to cover that, bro? All right. Who would be a good trainer for Joshua? Big shout out to Jamie Leroy in the building. Let me see if Shane can hear me. Shane, can you hear me?
Not yet, but I will be able to. Just keep going.
Okay.
I will be able to tell you in a second. I just need to connect my headphones.
Okay. Jamie Leroy said, who would be a good trainer for Joshua?
I was saying Jonathan Banks. I can hear you now. I was saying Jonathan Banks.
John, first of all, for the people that's here, I apologize. I went back down for the count the pillow one. You know what I'm saying? So that was my fault. Jonathan Banks is a good choice. I think Virgil Hunter would be a good choice for him.
The only reason, and I have to, this is the difference with G5JeffTv. When I hear something that I agree with, I don't just steal people's points. I give them the heads up. I give them the shout out. A lot of people be stealing our points and not give us the credit for coming up with the points. I'm gonna tell you, you said it. Hatman. Shout out to Hatman for saying this. Hatman said that Virgil Hunter likes to be a father figure to a lot of his fighters. You know, he likes to almost stand up and protect them. I actually think that's the worst thing for AJ right now. AJ needs a killer, a man who's gonna go out there and tell him to go. Like he needs a dude who's gonna inspire him to be brave, you know, and actually fight. You know, I want a rough man in the corner. I want someone to shout at him. I want someone to be a bit more aggressive, not soothe his ego and appease his emotional fragilities. Go out there and be aggressive. You know, just be aggressive at him. That's what I want. And I feel like Virgil Hunter is a bit too soft.
Well, the thing about that, big shout out to Hatman too. The thing about that is you're asking a fighter to be receptive towards something that he's never had before. So when you're talking about somebody like Anthony Joshua, I think you can't give him a trainer that's completely hardcore like that. He wouldn't be able to handle a Bozy Ennis right off the rip. He wouldn't be able to handle a Padman McGriff right off the rip. Like they a little too raw for him. You know what I'm saying? They're a little too raw for him, in my personal opinion. Like take a Teddy Atlas. Like he wouldn't be able to handle a Teddy Atlas back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Michael Moore was able to. It's a great idea. I don't think AJ would handle it. I don't think he would handle it well because he never had it. With Virgil, I think Virgil gives you enough tough love, but at the same time, he gonna let you know what you need to do. So
that's I just don't think Virgil's tough enough.
Well, I don't think he's had a fighter that's no punk. I think he's had one project and that was Brazil.
Bro, Amir Khan didn't work neither.
No, Amir Khan improved with Virgil. He improved with Virgil.
He improved, but he also lost.
Like there's only so much you can do with Amir Khan too, though.
But that's true.
It's only so much you can do with him. You know what I'm saying?
I look at what he's doing with Tony Yoka, and for those who don't watch Tony Yoka, because his fights aren't like televised on those major promotional companies, but if you watch him, especially his last 2 fights, and he's about to fight Bacoli, that's going to be a dope fight.
That's a good fight.
When you look at Yoka and what Virgil's doing with Yoka, you can actually see what I wanted AJ to be. What Yoka is, the style, not in terms of what they've achieved, but the style that Yoka is. I wanted AJ to have, and I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Yoka was very defensive," and no, he was just using his athleticism. He's actually getting knockouts now. This guy's actually getting knockouts, but he was just overwhelming his opponents with just non-stop athleticism, which AJ had. But when he first came out, he had the fastest hands in the division. You remember these guys were ripping off combinations real quick on the inside. He also showed in the Dylan White fight that he had the stamina to, because look at that fight. That fight was fought at a high tempo for 7 rounds. 7 rounds he was letting his shots go. He then decided after that fight to start fighting a bit more boxer friendly first. Because he got chin check, Dylan White almost knocked him out. He started to fight boxer friendly first, and we haven't seen the bulldog AJ that we used to see. I feel like Virgil Hunter stylistically is the best thing for AJ. But in terms of mentally, I don't know how much he'll be able to get the dog out of him, because yes, he's had projects where he's worked with everybody, but he's never really had to deal with a Powerpuff Girl, which AJ is right now.
I don't think anybody can though. Maybe that's my point. I don't think anybody can really completely tweak that aspect. If he was fighting a different opponent, maybe. Usyk different though. Usyk different. It's going to be more. It's going to be. I think it's more strategy mixed with mentality versus mentality.
From a strategy perspective, I would say one of the best people to get is Buddy McGirt.
Buddy McGirt is a real good choice as well. It's difficult, man. Like Jamie, to answer your question, that's a very difficult task.
It comes down to two things. Is it who's best for coaching for Usyk, or who's best for coaching moving forward in his career? That's two separate questions.
Great point. Because you can make that same claim with Malik Scott with when Wilder was going through the
That is an amazing point. Yeah. Because I know you got comments. Let me just get this one point off.
Go ahead.
When it comes to that point that Jeff was making of the Usyk, the reason why it's so important is because let's say you got a Buddy McGirt. Buddy McGirt might be able to come up with a strategy and a training regime that might make him prepared for Usyk. Problem is, the way he fights Usyk isn't the way you fight a Dylan White, isn't the way you fight Fury, isn't the way you fight who else? Hrgovic, if you fight Hrgovic, or Joyce. So you have to be. Are you going to go with a short-term fix, or someone who's going to be able to make you a better fighter, a well-rounded fighter? Full stop. Now you might lose that fight against Usyk, but you might be a better fight in the long term. Wherever you're willing to sacrifice.
Right. That's a great point as well. Before we move forward, for the people that's in here, put down where you from. I'm pretty sure Shane mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. We trying to see if we can maybe launch a show during the week that's a little bit earlier than the Goodfellas podcast, completely rebranded. Something just for Shane and myself, something just for the international base, mainly UK.
This is a European, basically
European version of the show. Just
where we cover European topics, European fights.
Yeah, so this is kind of like a pilot show. To be honest with you, it was kind of unexpected. We're probably going to do this again. Probably do a couple more pilot shows, maybe
just to see how it goes.
So put down where you're from, and put down based on where you're from, what time will be a good time to start basically doing a show like this. In your opinion. Let's shoot through though. John Hugh in the building. Big shout out to John Hugh. Said yards. I'm assuming he's trying to put the Philly shell.
Yeah, Philly shell.
Tunde has given him was not the way to go.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, John Hugh. Let me explain something about the Philly shell, man. There's different versions of the Philly shell. There's only one or two that really works, and that depends on who's doing it. You have to. One of the biggest misconceptions about the Philly shell is that
you're gonna say the same.
You have to use
24/7.
You gotta use your legs. You have to. You gotta use your knees.
I thought you were gonna say the biggest misconception. The biggest misconception.
Hold on, let me see if I can guess it.
You know it. Go on.
Let me see if I can guess it. So the second thing with the shoulder roll is if you are using the shoulder roll and you are not keeping yourself in position offensively to actually fire back out of the shoulder roll, you're kind of just sitting there taking shots
That wasn't what I was gonna say.
Go ahead.
I was gonna, but it's because I wasn't even thinking about that. That's a good point. We'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that point in a second because that's a real good point that affects yard. He uses the Philly shell 24/7. You can't use it 24/7. That's a misconception. You can't. You have to when you're going forward, cutting off the ring. You can't use the Philly shell. When you're standing in the center of the ring, there's no point using the Philly shell. When you're trying to pivot around an opponent, no point using the Philly shell. If the dude's got you backed up in a corner or against the rope, you can use the Philly shell. You can't use the Philly shell just with head movement. You have to have good catching skills. You look at Josh Kelly. He uses the Philly shell, all scripted, and he's just relying all on head movement. He doesn't catch anything. One of the best fighters who's used the Philly shell in recent times, I know Jeff might disagree, is Kevin Farmer defensively. But we saw where using the Philly shell 24/7 don't work because you can't use the Philly shell offensively. You can't use it 24/7. Kevin Farmer is a prime example of he used it 24/7 and offensively he doesn't get off. But defensively he looks clean.
Yeah, no, that probably would have been my third point. That you can't use it all the time. Even the greats didn't use it all the time. Floyd didn't use it all the time. Even if you want to take it way, way, way back, and I mean this is way before I was born. A guy like Nicolino Luce, like who's one of the originators. Yeah, Nicolino Luce. He's one of the originators of the shoulder roll. He didn't use it all the time. James Toney didn't use it all the time.
Another person, let's go all the way real back. As Charles used to use the shoulder roll sometimes. Well,
yeah, he didn't use it all the time. It's just you have to, like, the shoulder roll handicaps you offensively. You can't open up offensively in the shoulder roll. You can.
There's only one shot you can throw on a counter. You can't really lead with a shoulder roll. There's only one shot you can throw. One real open shot that you can throw. When you're
I mean, it's if you're a southpaw, it's really a check shot. It's a single.
Yeah.
It's a single. It's
just
a check
one
shot.
Single check shot.
Yeah, and the thing is, even if you try to throw anything beyond the single check shot, you have to get out of the shoulder roll stance in order to open up and get off. Right.
Yeah.
So, John, this early show would probably be an education session.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? For real.
We can hear you.
Yeah. John Hugh, Usyk's footwork is too advanced. All that soccer training and Cossack dancing he has done can't be canceled out by Joshua. You know what? Let me get into that as well. The thing is, John Hugh, Usyk has been using the footwork his whole career. And that's why I've been telling people like vloggers say all the time, like, hey, listen, this guy's been working on this, been working on that, been working on this in the gym based off of clips.
And right? Jeff always say he needs to show me.
Yeah, I'm going to always tell you, number one, you're going to have to show me. Number two, you're asking a person to try out something new against one of the best in the world.
Right.
Tall task. You know what I'm saying? So Usyk is miles away ahead of the game. You can't go in there trying to outbox him.
It's like, and I'm not using it. It's like someone like, let's say, who's the center that plays for? Who's the number one center in basketball right now? What's that dude's name?
The number one what?
Center.
Oh, in basketball?
Yeah. I see him on 2K all the time. What's his name? His name's real long.
Oh, Giannis.
Yeah. Yeah, Giannis. It's like asking him to have a whole training camp working on threes, and then he spends 5 months working on threes, and then tell him to go have a 3-point shooter contest with Steph. It's not gonna work.
Exactly. It's not gonna work. You're gonna have to beat the way AJ's gonna have to beat Usyk. He got to fight special. He got to fight special. And he got to fight determined, but there's nothing he can do technically that's
That's
gonna
gonna make him.
change things.
Nothing you could do. Yeah, nothing you could do between now and the fight. That's gonna give you an advantage technically. Nothing. It's literally
That's
you can. It's impossible.
Yeah, that's like me trying to sit and study UK boxing, and then I'm trying to go debate with Shane in a matter of like a couple months. It's just not going to work. Like
That's a bit difficult to say because you do know UK boxing, but I get
I
your
do know
point.
you. Yeah, I do know it, but just not to that. There's just some things you can't do nothing about because it's the thing that the person's built is come with time, and you
Yeah, it
can't
comes
cheat.
with time.
You can't cheat
You
time.
can't cheat time,
You
and
can't
you got to
cheat time.
understand that when things get difficult, people always revert back to what they know. When
Exactly.
it gets difficult, you just revert back to what you know.
Right. Muscle memory.
Yeah.
Muscle memory at the end of the day. Conrad
Shout
Boxing
out
in the
Conrad,
building. That's my guy
the
right there.
fantasy league leader right now.
The fantasy league king right now, with 7 points. Conrad Boxing. Dwayne Sewell, he said AJ needs a Kenny Porter in his
Facts.
corner.
That's a good name,
I
but Kenny Porter's never worked with a heavyweight, but I like that.
I like Kenny Porter. I guess my thing would be what is Kenny Porter going to give him from a technical standpoint? Because
I think Kenny.
there's
Go
been
on.
times Kenny Porter let Sean in the cold, but I don't know if it's because he knows Sean can't do some of the things that he needs to do during fights, or he's just not telling him some things. I felt like he could have did more to bring him home as far as the Spence fight.
No, but I feel like the energy though, the energy, because
That
Kenny
energy
Porter's
was
a dude.
crazy.
He'd be like, bro, you need to go get that. No one
Yeah,
in AJ's corner is
it's
saying that.
saying that. Right,
But like, if a fight is there to go get it.
right.
Like, I see Kenny Porter talking to Sean Porter like, bro, what are you doing? Do you want me to fight for you? Like, you literally get the energy. Like, this dude is trying to force the belief out of his fighter. When you got people massaging AJ's face and massaging his arms what is this? This is not a beautician shop. This is a fight. Why
Right.
someone needs to go tell this dude to go get it. You're about to
Exactly.
lose your title.
Exactly. 100%. I like that name though, Dwayne. I like that name. Conrad Boxing, Usyk would love AJ hunting him
Oh,
and
that
then
would be
gassing out in 4 rounds.
that,
See?
that's what most people are telling AJ to do. Oh, you gotta go out there, use your size, chase it, go and stick the fight on him. I'm like, bro, you know that only you got a time limit on that. You got a time limit. That doesn't last for 12 rounds.
I think his stamina is the biggest problem.
You think it's worse
Mental,
than his punch resilience?
yep. Because if you got bad punch resistance, imagine how bad it is when you're tired.
Oh yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah, so his stamina is the most important thing,
A
and
lot,
then
a
it's
lot of
everything
people will
else.
be like, "Oh, you need to fight like how Chisora fought." Chisora only fought like that for 3 rounds.
Yeah, and his tank was gone.
Yeah, and
His
then
tank
his
was
tank
gone.
was gone. AJ's got a bad tank as well. The difference with Chisora is Chisora's not chinny like AJ, so Chisora could weather the storm. And Chisora's used to being gassed in every fight. Chisora's gassed. He
Yeah,
just
he's
knows how to
gassed out.
survive tired. He just knows
Right.
how to survive tired. AJ ain't got that ability.
Yeah, he really don't. John Hugh Usyk would have trained for an aggressive AJ. That style would just mean when he gets tired, Usyk will take him out. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
Oh,
like
if he gets
you
tired, he's
have
getting
to.
knocked out.
Yeah, I'm like you have to have a balance of smarts, and then you got to pace yourself too, because Usyk is going to allow you to pace yourself. He's not gonna press the action. He's not gonna press the action. Like so, AJ can get to the home stretch not tired if he wants, but he can't go in there just trying to box. He needs to fight in spurts. When he get off, he
Yeah.
really gets off and try to get out the way. Now, he's not going to be effective. The only thing he can really do is the biggest thing he can do is make Usyk think before he punch. I don't think he's going to be
And
able to do that.
I think he needs to center his attacks around the body as well. At
Yeah,
least if you're gonna slow down, at least try and make Usyk slow down with you.
but you can't take that Wilder effect neither, where you just
Oh, you
telegraphing
know.
the body shots. Like
This
the
nigga
thing,
looked down, freeze down, everything. Go on, go
yo,
on.
he was looking, he was like, all right, I'm getting ready to hit the body right now, right there. I'm getting ready to hit the body. It was crazy. Like that's why, like when people in the States, they be like, "Oh yeah, well, Wilder was going to the body." I said, "Yeah, he was telling him he was going to the body too, and eventually, You're gonna be trading body shots for head shots, and
I don't care how powerful you are, you don't want to be doing that.
You don't want to be doing that. Absolutely. Conrad Boxing agreed, John. Plus, he doesn't seem to be able to walk through Usyk shots. The thing is, it was that Conrad, but the thing is, he didn't know where Usyk shots was coming from.
You're coming from.
That's the problem.
The shots you don't see are the ones that hurt the most.
Absolutely. He said, I don't see any coach that can change AJ in 6 months. No, yeah,
that's what we're saying. That's what we're saying. It's whether you want short-term success or long-term success.
Conrad, to be honest with you, he would be better off getting a Virgil Hunter or a Kenny Porter type and then going after a Tyson Fury and just being an opponent. To be honest with you, he would have a better shot.
Or if you're gonna do it this way, make sure whatever you do, personally, if I was you, I would actually specifically design a camp just for this Usyk fight, knowing that it might not work and it's not going to be sustainable, but it gives you your best chance of setting up a Fury fight, even if you know you're going to lose. Because at the end of the day, it's just about trying to build confidence. 1 second, Jeff.
Yeah. I blame a Conrad. I blame Eddie Hearn for this shit. I blame Eddie Hearn for this shit, Conrad. Real rap. Because I've been said he needs to just drop the belt. Whatever belt Usyk was the mandatory for, drop it. And then he'd have still been in line for that Tyson Fury fight in Dubai. Nobody would have killed him for having one less belt. Nobody would have killed him for having one less belt. I blame Eddie Hearn for this shit. Conrad Boxing, 100% Shane. It sounded like he was wrestling boxes and shit, yo.
Nah.
Oh, you had the headphones on the whole time. We could hear you running up the steps and all that.
Oh, yeah.
John Hugh, Conrad Boxing, whoever sprinkles fairy dust on AJ, it makes no difference. He does not have time to change. That's we said the same thing about Wilder against Fury. John Hugh, I am from
the truth is Wilder had more time than AJ.
Yeah, John Hugh said, I'm from the UK. He said this is a good time. So we actually started. Shane actually started. What was that? 5:30?
Yeah, so 5.
You started at 5 o'clock your time, which
or 10 past 5 or something.
Okay, all right, we're gonna keep that in mind. Conrad Boxing, if AJ had that dog mentality, that would be a different story. You could teach him the brute force Usyk. Jamie Leroy, Jeff, can I have your breakdown of Chris Eubank versus Liam Williams fight, which has been announced? Did they announce that?
Yeah.
Oh man, that got fight of the year written all over it. That got fight of the year written all over it. I will definitely. Shane, you want to break it down first before I break it down?
No, you can break it down first.
This the first. So Jamie Leroy, this is something that Shane and I usually do, but this is truly off of the dome because I didn't know this. This is the first time I've heard that this fight has been announced. So Liam Williams, Chris Eubank. The breakdown is really, really simple. It's what has Chris Eubank learned with Roy Jones Jr. in terms of how to adapt to a guy that's going to be in your chest all night long. Now, I can tell you what Chris Eubank needs to do. Chris Eubank, I'll tell him just like I tell anybody else. You going in the ring with an aggressive fighter. You make sure that that admission fee you making them pay is high. Make sure they ain't no cheap admission fees. You gotta make them pay a high admission fee.
With someone like Liam Williams, you need a real high one. Yeah, probably you need a high one.
You need a real big bouncer at the front door when it comes down to fighting Liam Williams for real. Right. So you need to make him. You need can Chris Eubank make Liam Williams running the shots.
Yeah,
you need to make Liam Williams running the shots. Number
or
2,
think twice about walking forward.
Yeah,
can he get his respect on his way in? That's basically what an admission fee is.
But the thing is, this is a different type of admission fee. Liam Williams don't care. He can hit. You can hit him with some big shit, he's still coming to the front door the same way. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. The thing is, you got to make him pay that big admission fee because it's gonna wear him down.
Yeah, you're
You
gonna,
know
but
what I'm saying?
you can't let him get away with it at any stage,
Yeah,
because the moment he's got you into that game, it's gonna be a very taxing fight, because every single day he's gonna test you and he's gonna hope that you slip up one time, because he's
yeah,
just gonna keep working, and unless you get him out of there, as we saw with Andre, you're gonna have to keep getting him walk into shots. And you might look bad in this fight because Andre, loads of people did not like how he fought in the fight, but it's just because of the opponent. He's very, very difficult to look good against because of how stubborn he is.
yeah. And I would say another thing, the jab is extremely important against Liam Williams. The jab is super important, and I'm talking a jab to the chest, jab to the core, because again, you have to make Liam Williams actually try to come in through the side door. You can't have him just walking in through the front door every single time. If you're throwing a jab to the chest, you're throwing a jab to the stomach, stab jabs, things like that, he's going to have to step to the left or step to the right to try to get past that. If you establish that early, you're going to make the fight a little bit easier. Another thing, Liam Williams is
Just to
not,
give you a breather, just to give yourself
yeah,
a breather.
just to give yourself a breather, because the type of pressure that Liam Williams puts on, you could mentally wear down against a guy like that. So you can't have that. We just watched that with Caleb Plant. He literally wore himself out. You know what I'm saying? Trying to move around the ring, trying to be so technically fine that he wore himself out in the later rounds. And I think the third thing Eubank needs to do is he needs to throw those 4 or 5 punch combinations, but he need to don't sit there and enjoy your work. Don't sit there and admire your
No.
work. Even if it's a full step to the left, full step to the right, just don't sit there after you get your work off. Those are things that Eubank need to do to win the fight. What Liam Williams need to do is what he does. The only thing he needs to do is he needs to give himself a half a step more room, because
Yeah,
he smothers his shots. He might smother his shots more than Porter do.
maybe.
He smothers his shots like crazy, and
He,
it's
he smothers his shots a lot, and the biggest problem that he's gonna have is Eubank is also laser quick on the inside as well.
mhm.
He can let off 3, 4 shots on the inside. With you smothering your shots, you're just gonna walk into those shots, and you're not gonna have the leverage to land your own.
Yeah, he's not gonna win an inside battle with Eubank in the sense of looking good. You
Yeah,
know, he got to make it ugly, but he got to give himself that half a step for him to actually land shots, because
you, you,
he'll
you,
be able
you
to
you
land
know
some shots. He'll be able
you
to
know
land some
like
shots.
how Sean done it against Garcia, where you're just gonna have to maybe land the first one, land a few glancing punches, but you're smothering what's coming back at you, so they don't get leverage on punches. It can
Correct.
work both ways.
No, that's a fact. But those are the main things that need to happen for you know, either one of those guys to win the fight. Of course, we gonna break that down a little bit more. When's the fight happening?
I don't know. I don't even know what promoter. It's on Sky, so it's gonna be on. I don't know. It's probably Kala Sauerland promoting it or someone like that.
That's gonna be a dope ass fight, man. That's gonna be a dope ass fight. Conrad boxing, but when it comes to boxing, that was levels. Conrad said I blame Eddie too. I said while you were gone, I said I blame Eddie for this whole Usyk thing because he should have just dropped
So
the
yeah,
belt. Should have dropped the belt.
facts.
John Hugh, Eddie Hearn without AJ as champion is naked. AJ losing will have a big impact on Matchroom. I agree with that.
That is
I agree
a
with that.
fact.
I
That is
agree
a
with that.
fact. I
100%.
mean, AJ gave Eddie Hearn financial comfortability to do what he's been doing in America. He don't mind losing a bag on all of these fights, putting all of the money up for what's it called? These purses, these expensive purses that he's winning. He doesn't mind spending money on fighters, overpaying fighters, because he always knew he had the insurance of AJ. That I'll make an AJ fight, I make a quick 30 million, that will tide me over.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
once he loses, a lot. I mean, he's still gonna have a name, but he's just not gonna have a name. Like a lot of people are just gonna turn their attention from, especially with Dylan White fighting Fury. Bro, you don't want to be losing around then because whoever wins that fight, they're gonna be on the top of UK.
Yeah,
They're gonna be on the top of the UK.
absolutely. Second Ezra in the building. Say what's going on. Conrad Box, he said December 11th. It can't be that close. Is it that
No, it can't
close?
be that
Can't be that close. Conrad, can you confirm that? Dwayne Sewell, Liam Williams is
close.
in serious trouble in this fight. Eubank loves fighters who walk him down. Chris is gonna let his hands off for fun and cut up Williams' face. Gonna be real bloody.
Yeah, he's Williams gonna get cut in this fight because he cuts easy.
Yeah,
But
he's the thing is how much energy is Eubank going to use to get to that point. But he got a good gas tank though. I definitely like Eubank in the fight, like for
yeah,
sure. Jamie Leroy, December 11th for Chris Eubank fight on Scott. That's crazy. That's a quick. They known about that fight for a while.
yeah,
They known
yeah.
about that fight for.
But we heard about this fight before, but it just wasn't announced.
Yeah, in Cardiff. Okay. Conrad, he said it's official now. Hey, December 11th. Hey, that's going on the fantasy league
Yeah, bro.
joint for sure.
That's the same week as Baterbia versus Marcus Brown.
Mark, is it?
Isn't that December 11th?
I think so. But I mean, that fight ain't gonna last that long anyway. That might go four. That might go 4 rounds tops. And the thing is, Marcus Brown gonna have a few moments early until he feel that first shot, and he gonna be like, "What the hell am I doing in here?" It's gonna turn into something, for real, man. Like that's gonna be crazy. Are you guys I know Shane touched on it already, but is anyone excited about the Khan and Brook situation? Like, is anybody excited about it?
Yeah, anyone in the comments, are you guys excited about Khan and Brook?
Yeah, I just, to be honest with you, like, it's kind of up there with, for me, like when I was like Wilder need to fight Fury, I was like, I just need some closure. Like, for no other reason, I'm like, I need closure on that situation because I'm tired of hearing about it. Like, because it's probably going to end up being a great fight because they both are on the same level in terms of career and just physically. They're both in the same boat. So you're probably going to get a pretty good action fight, actually, between these two. But I mean, yeah, it's 8 years too late. But I mean, I just want to know who excited about it. Because it's gonna catch a lot of smoke here in the States. I'll tell you that. Jamie Leroy says speed kills. I've got Chris Eubank. Yeah, Eubank speed is next level. Like, and I mean it's pure, and it's not even Leroy, it's not even quickness, it is pure speed, like just pure speed. Like Ryan Garcia has pure speed, but then you got a guy like Farmer got pure quickness. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's a difference.
He's a slippery.
Yeah, it's speed is kind of like how you can run from one building to another building, but quickness is like how can you get from one car to the next car? How quick can you get there? You know what I mean? That's quickness. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's a difference. Conrad Box and I am more excited for Jake Paul and Tommy Fury. Not even joking. To be honest with you, I think I am too. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, that's one of them things where with
I am more excited for Jake Paul Tommy Fury. I'm not gonna lie, yeah. I'm gonna watch. This will be my first Jake Paul fight.
I'm watching. I'm definitely watching.
Me as well.
Jamie Leroy, not buzzing for the Khan fight, but I'll be watching, being a boxing fan. Yeah, I mean, we gonna watch. Said, yeah, same at Conrad Boxing. Second Ezra Khan versus Brook. My excitement level is 7 out of 10. That's kind of high.
That's still high.
That's high. That's high. Like, I mean, that's weed high. You know what I mean?
I mean, 10 out of 10 would be like Crawford versus Spence. Yeah, so that's only three levels below that.
Yeah, that's only 3 levels below. Like, I don't know. Second Ezra, that's I don't know.
I
It's
think
like
my
a,
excitement levels for that is maybe like 2.5.
yeah, mine is a point something. I don't know what number it starts with, but I know it's a point. Yeah, I would say about a maybe like a 1.8 or something like that. Like a 1.8. Like that's yeah, I don't know, man. Yo, did you hear that Jake Paul had something in his contract where it's like his opponent can't knock him out?
I heard
So
that. I heard that. I heard that.
how do you regulate that?
Is that still? Is that for this fight as well?
They said Tommy Fury dead. Well, John it was John Fury.
Yeah.
Um, he said the contract was very weird. That's all he said. He said the contract was very weird, but he said they signed it because they know he can beat him. That's what they said. So
So it
that might
doesn't
have been.
say he can't knock him out.
But the thing is, how do you if I land the money shot, right? If I land the money shot and the referee counts him out, like what does that mean? I don't understand. Like that's like I don't understand. That's like
Or what if you're getting beaten and your
the
corner throwing
referee
a
stop
towel?
your corner
No,
throws in the towel. Like I don't even understand how you enforce that in a contract. Like if
you,
we're in the middle of an exchange and I hit you, my hook beats your hook, or my straight right hand beats your hook, like and you kind of fall into the ropes like he did in his last fight, like whose fault is that? Am I getting fined for catching you with the money shot? Like I don't understand.
and why I feel like that's crazy is because does that mean Jake Paul can't knock out Tommy Fury?
Hell no, you know that ain't the case. You know
So
that ain't the case.
with that being said, now this dude's teeing off on me, so I can't land no shots to get this guy off me.
I might
Cause
as well not even. I might as well not even fight.
literally.
I, you know what? You know, I had somebody. I had somebody send me this on Instagram. They said that, um, I think, Jake Paul is from Ohio, right? Sean Porter is from Ohio. Jake Paul did more numbers in one event than Sean Porter's done in his whole career in his home state. I said that's crazy. That just goes to show you it's two different worlds when it come down to fighting and actually marketing and branding. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
when Spence said he can't sell out a family cookout, that's what he meant. You know what I'm saying? That's what he meant. There's no way that should happen with a guy like Sean. Like Sean should have been, but see the thing is, Al and them never gave him the opportunity. And
No.
I don't think they ever pressed the issue neither. Like I think they was just like, oh well, Vegas is our home. They always said Vegas is their home. But the thing is, I'm like, no, like you need to take that to Ohio. He probably could have sold. He might have sold out a venue 10,000 with the right opponent. You know what I'm saying? But they never gave it the opportunity. I think it's too late right now. But I thought that was an amazing footnote. You know, for sure. Jamie said, does anyone trouble Bud before he retires, in your opinion? Absolutely.
Hmm?
Absolutely. Sean is going to trouble him. Boots is definitely going to trouble him if he jumps in the ring with him. Spence is going to trouble him. To be honest with you, there's a couple other guys too that would give him trouble. I think if he hopped in there with a Virgil Ortiz would
Yeah.
give him trouble. Listen, Bud is dominant in terms of what he can do inside of the ring. There's a difference between being dominant and invincible. That's a comment for someone that's like on a Roy Jones in his prime type.
But
Bud's not
even
that.
but
Bud's
even
not that
Roy Jones had trouble though.
trouble. You know what I'm saying? So it's just there's a couple of guys that can give Bud trouble to
No
answer.
no one's never gonna have trouble in their career.
Right. John Hugh, how was Eddie Hearn doing in the US? He's non-existent in the US in terms of what he's trying to do. I think my opinion, I'm like, he would be the best promoter in the world if he was like the primary promoter for Al. He would be the perfect person for it because he actually does the job of being a promoter. I mean, like hardcore.
You just don't have the stable
He
for the
don't have a
matchmaking.
stable.
His matchmaking ain't that great neither.
It's too many politics in the US for him to be making any real damage, John. It's not really on Eddie. He just didn't have a real understanding of how the politics worked in the States. Jamie, Tommy Fury won't be world champion, in my opinion, even with Tyson by his side. Tommy Fury may not beat Jake Paul.
Facts.
I gotta think about that.
I've never seen Jake Paul fight. But if Jake Paul's the hype that everybody's saying, then he should beat Tommy Fury because Tommy Fury's trash from what I've seen.
That don't get me wrong. Jake Paul trash too. He's trash too. Don't get me wrong. But it's different types of trash. There's different, different smells of trash and things like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got, trash out your house trash, and then you got like it's a dead body type trash. Like it's levels to it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Second Ezra said the 7 was a typo. It was supposed to be a 1 for the Khan versus Brook fight. Oh, okay.
I was about to say,
I was the second Ezra, you were hardcore for real. Like, I'm like, you hyped for a 7? Goddamn. Jamie said apparently Eddie got blanked by a lot of people in the US at the Canelo fight. They don't like him over there. Here's the thing. Everything that Eddie's trying to do in the States, he got to go through somebody to do it. He has to go through somebody to do it. Like, so at some point he's going to go through Aram. At some point he's going to go through Al. At some point he's going to go through De La Hoya.
And the problem that he has is a lot of the fighters know that this guy has money. So majority of the time they're just gonna take advantage of Eddie Hearn by collecting the free paycheck like Mikey's been doing. Or like Andrade. Really and truly, they know for a fact that their career doesn't move without another promoter either.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just the things that he's used to doing in the UK. He has free landscape to do whatever he wants. He is the completely opposite here in the States. Like you have to, when they make you, like, you could try to pay an admission fee at the door in the United States and still may not get in. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference between here and in the UK. I think Eddie Hearn would be a great manager here. He would be a great pure promoter for somebody like Al, just exclusively with Al. But him running his own show here in the States it's not going to work. There's a John, who has that question? That was Jamie. Jamie, there's a reason why there's only 4 main promoters in the United States of America.
Who's the 4?
Al, Aram, Oscar, and big promoters. Be honest, those are really only 3.
Well, I would say Eddie Hearn's a bigger promoter than De La Hoya.
Yeah, but in the States though, Oscar can do more because his company been around longer. He can do more. It's more of a chance of him doing things than because people forget. I'm like, that's who Canelo originally was with. But it goes to show how bad Golden Boy is, because I'm like, you had the cash cow and you let him walk. Like, you get that man what he want. Give him what he want. Like, it's just, if you sitting on all, like, that's greed. Like, it's no way you have the top guy in the sport and you ain't had some shadiness as far as the contract and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Jamie Leroy said, is Golden Boy still around? He said, wow.
They got a fight this week.
Yeah, they still around. The thing is,
Munguia Rosado is on Golden Boy.
But the thing is, Jamie, with Golden Boy, everything was centered around Canelo. Once they lost Canelo, then everything else became a sideshow. He used Canelo to get a whole separate deal for everybody else in his camp.
Eddie Hearn is another person who I think hasn't used the links that he does have. He made Devin Haney versus Jojo Diaz. You could have made Andrade versus Munguia. You could have made Bivol versus Zurdo Ramirez. Those are all the zone fights that you could have made.
Right. And that's the thing. Like,
you could have even made, and if we're being honest, I know it's not I know it's not a favorable fight, but you could have potentially made Josh Kelly versus Virgil Ortiz.
Could have did that as well. I actually think what Eddie needs to do, he need to pay whatever fee he need to pay to get some of these US fighters and just bring them to the UK, man. Bring them on a European tour. I think that's what he really need to do. Like a guy like Broner, like we talked about before. I think he
But
just
Broner did turn down Eddie Hearn, though. Eddie
well,
Hearn offered him 3 million a fight, and he turned it
well,
down.
yeah, but he didn't turn that down. Al turned that down. Broner can't take a deal without Al's go. That's just
He probably owes Al so much money.
he owes Al probably that 10 million that he used to go around talking about he wanted from Al. That's probably what he owes Al, to be honest with you. Because Al probably been paying his bills for years. He probably been fronting them game checks for years. He probably owes Al about $10 million. But that's what I'm saying. Like if Eddie Hearn came to Al and said, "Hey, listen, whatever the bill is for Broner, I'll pay you the bill, and then I'm gonna give you X amount of dollars up front to have Broner for like 5 fights. To have him for 5 fights, and then you cut Broner whatever you want to cut
But you're
him."
forgetting Al Heyman and Eddie Hearn does not have a good relationship.
Well, the thing is, they don't have a good relationship because Eddie Hearn tried to come into the U.S. market and take over.
Yeah, yeah.
But that has nothing to do with that. See, that's a joint venture that can work for both parties, right? So Al can't get Broner a fight. Like he fought Giovanni Santiago. Like he cannot get him a fight, right? And he owes him money. He can't get paid back if Adrian Broner is not in the ring fighting. He can't make his money back. Eddie Hearn needs a guy like Adrian Broner because he has a shopping list full of guys that he can put Adrian Broner up against and put him in a big stadium, and that thing gonna sell out. It's gonna sell out, and he's gonna be able to rebrand him, just rebuild his name, win or lose, because it don't matter out there in the UK as much if they take a L. So he can get out there, actually take a L, and the UK gonna love Broner. They gonna love Broner because he go and he talk that shit. He talk that shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's
he'll be one of them cult fans
followers.
When people love to hate.
Absolutely.
They kind of like Derek Chisora.
Or old Chris Eubank. You know what I'm saying? From back in the day.
Yeah, that's a good name.
But it's a laundry list full of that. Like if I was managing like Broner, I would try to broker that. Like if let's just say he owes Al $10 million, right? Let's say he owes him $10 million, and Eddie's gonna offer him $4 million a fight. No matter who he faces, he's gonna offer him $4 million a fight, maybe some pay-per-view upside or whatever. Let's just say $1 million. Let's just say $1 million of that goes to Al per fight. Like the base.
Yeah.
So $1 million out of that 4 is automatically gonna go to Al. That's 5 fights. That's $5 million that goes back to Al. That's half of the bill. You know what I'm saying? And that's not saying that he owes $10 million. It may be like 5, but Broner's been on the show. Broner's been in jail so many times. I'm assuming it's like 10 because I'm pretty sure he probably done paid for lawyers. The whole 9.
Bail.
So I'm assuming, bail money, bond money, all that. So even if Eddie Hearn was like, listen, I'll give you $5 million a fight, they could say, all right, you know what, 1.5 is going to Al. You know what I'm saying? Like 5 fights, that's $7.5 million. That's getting him close to his bottom line. And then, to be honest with you, I'm like, shit, he can take he can take a couple game checks and pay him half of it and just be done with it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Broner needs to fight, but then the UK needs that name too. Eddie Hearn needs that name. You need that name. Shane, run it down. We can name 6 guys off top.
Well, firstly, Amir Khan, Kell Brook, Josh Kelly, Conor Ben, I mean, that's
Avenetian.
5.
Avenetian. That's 5.
Avenetian,
That's 5.
that's 6.
No, you named 5.
Avenetian, no, that's 6.
You
Amir
said,
Khan, Kell
yeah.
Brook, Josh Kelly, Conor Ben, yeah, Avenetian's 5.
Avenetian's 5. And then
Mm, who's the 5? It's a tough one. In the UK, who's out there in the UK that signed to Eddie Hearn at 147?
That's at least 5.
That's 5.
That's 5 that he
I
can. That's
mean,
5 that he can fight.
personally, I would actually make Amir Adrian Broner fight a cream puff. Literally a complete cream puff, so he gets as
That can
much
be his.
noise as possible.
That can be your
And
6. That can be your
and
6 and 7.
fight a cream puff first, and then fight the winner of Kell Brook versus Amir Khan.
Yeah,
That's doing that's doing a million pay-per-view buys
yeah.
easy.
He can fight a cream puff, then fight the one of Kell Brook and Amir Khan. Then he can fight another cream puff and fight a David
Conor
Avenetian
Ben.
or a Conor Ben, and it's going to do numbers. It's going to do numbers. Eddie Hearn could do wonders with Adrian Broner. He just gotta pitch that off to Al, because
But if Al says yes, but Adrian Broner doesn't want it, then what can you do?
well, the thing is, I don't know if Adrian Broner is in a position to say no to anything at this point, because I'm like, there's nobody really in the U.S. they can match him up with that he would be anywhere close to beating. Nobody. He can't beat nobody at 147. Not on this side. There's nobody in the top 10 Adrian Broner can beat at 147. He loses to everybody in the top 10. Everybody. That's what I'm saying. Like, if he goes on a European tour, at least he can pay his debts off. He can put some money to the side for future legal cases, because they coming. You know what I'm saying? And he can pay Al back, and he can put some money in his pocket. You know what I'm saying? He put some money in his pocket. I think that's the best way to go with Broner. But they could do, to be honest with you, they can do that with Danny. There's not a lot of people Danny can beat at 147 right now, like in the top 10 that he's willing to get in the ring with. Keith Thurman, same thing. There's a couple guys that can go on the European tour for sure. Haney and Lopez, after they fought their opponents, it's really whether Haney is going to sign a multi-fight deal with Bob Arum, or if Bob Arum's going to have options on Haney after the fight. If that's not the case, the fight ain't happening. Fight not happening. It's just,
or they do co-promotion.
Or they do co-promotion, which even for Al, that don't even make sense.
Al's not in it. Bob's in it. It's not Al, it's Bob.
I mean Bob. That's what I meant to say, Bob. Yeah, like if Bob don't have exclusive options on because he's giving him his top guy.
But Bob didn't have anything on Wilder or Fury. When Fury fought Wilder, he didn't have options on Wilder, and he gave up his top guy.
Yeah, but that's different though.
Why?
That's a little different. That was the biggest fight in the sport. That bag was so big, he could afford to not have options on Wilder. And on top of that, you got to look at who he battling. Al ain't giving up no options. You know what I'm saying? Al ain't, and the thing is, Wilder not a free agent. Devin Haney is.
I think the biggest thing is the fact that Fury didn't have options before that fight. He really didn't have options. That was the only fight he could have actually taken, which was Wilder.
Yeah, that was it. So fighting backfired.
Whereas what's it called? Teofimo Lopez has so many options. He could fight someone else. He can move up to 140. Whereas Fury kind of didn't have no options at heavyweight. So taking the Wilder fight was like a no-brainer.
Yeah. I mean, it's a situation where it's a crazy situation. I mean, it just backfired on Wilder and them. It backfired. Like they tried to, get an easy W out of Tyson Fury because he was coming off the 2-year layoff, 2+ year layoff, things like that, and it just ain't work out for him. Second, Ezra Broner can take the Shannon Briggs route. The thing is though, even with Shannon Briggs, when Shannon Briggs does it, it's kind of funny because you never gonna see him in the ring. But the reason Broner can't get away with that is because Broner was actually parading around with the Floyd Mayweather blueprint. So they will never let him forget that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he can't get away with it. He could, but he can't get away with it. Jamie said, "Do you think Wilder will come back?" Yeah, he gonna come back. Now against who? That's something different. And in what capacity? What are they trying to do with Wilder? Because I'm like, are they trying to just use him just to get? Is it all about the money at this point, or is he really gonna go on a path to try to get
Belts.
belts? Because I'm like, I have to question whether he's mentally broken. That's what I question, because I'm like, you don't take beat downs in fights like that. And then the thing is, he was more emotionally invested than physically. He was
Yeah.
more emotionally invested. So I'm like, that was his career defining moment, and he got put on his back. It's not a lot of
And
guys that can recover from that, especially heavyweights.
it's like historical, because historically, when people look back, they're gonna look at Wilder and think the dude that lost to Fury, just like Joe Frazier. You know, just in the past, when you look at fighters, you don't want to be remembered for the one that was losing.
Yeah, no, that's 100% facts. Like, that's 100% facts, and it's kind of like you had those career defining fights, you had those career defining moments. It doesn't matter what you do before that or after that. It's when you mention a person's name, what's the first thing you think of? You know what I'm saying? And you mention Wilder's name, the first thing you think of is Fury, and that's just what it is. Conrad Boxing said, "I see him fighting Charles Martin." That's a good comeback fight. It's a solid
I see
comeback
him
fight.
fighting Hellenius and Andy Ruiz.
He can go on a quick tour himself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it'll be in the States, but he could headline pay-per-views and fight those guys, and it's going to do some numbers because people just love Wilder. Like, Wilder has a cult following. 78 Sports TV and all them dudes, that's a cult following. Like, they gonna ride out for him until the day he in the grave. Um,
Facts.
that's the cult following that he has. But I could see that fight happening. Jamie said, how do you think Prime Vitaly Klitschko does against Fury? Vitaly beats Fury, in my opinion.
Yeah, it would have been a harder fight for Fury than Vladimir was. But
Yeah,
I thought, and I'm being honest, I thought Vladimir could have won the rematch against Fury.
I think so too. He just never got the opportunity. Never got the opportunity to do it. And the thing is, Vitaly was so dynamic offensively, man. Like, if it wasn't for the cut, man, he was giving Lennox Lewis hell. Like, Lennox Lewis ain't want no parts of Vitaly after that fight. No parts. He didn't even attempt to go into negotiations for a rematch. He wanted
But you gotta
no
give Lennox,
parts.
you gotta give Lennox credit because he won the fight. He won the fight fair and square.
No, he won the fight, no doubt about it. But he was not trying to entertain no rematch, and it wasn't for no reason either.
Yeah.
Vitaly is a very good fighter. I think, be honest with you, I think Prime Vitaly beats everybody at heavyweight right now. Prime Vitaly beats everybody at heavyweight right now, in my personal opinion. That includes Usyk.
Now I'm trying to think who would give him the toughest fight.
Now, who would give him the toughest fight? Now, that's a different question.
I'm trying to
Um,
think.
um,
Hmm.
that's a good question. Um, if I had to guess,
It has to be a pressure fighter, but none of them give good pressure. So I'm trying to figure out who would be the best opponent.
Dillian would
Whenever
probably
he,
give him the toughest go, though.
Dylan will give him a tough fight.
Dillian will give
Dylan
him
will
a
give him
tough
a
go.
tough fight.
I think he beats Tyson Fury. I think he beats AJ.
Anyone who fights at low range is gonna lose because you're not out jabbing. You're not beating Vitali to a jab.
Yeah,
So you
you're not.
can't. Anyone who's gonna Fury, AJ, Wilder, they all fight at long range, mid to long range. They're not gonna beat Vitali at that range. You have to be able to fight on the inside and be a prolific inside fighter. AJ is, but then AJ's got to walk through Vitali's jab straight right hand to even get there. And the moment Vitali lands anything on him, it's gonna be good night.
Yeah,
So he ain't gonna be him. It's got to be someone who's good on the inside. I'm trying to figure out who that person is. But,
yeah. I think
Dylan is a good name. Dylan is a good name. I mean, Derek Chisora gave him a tough fight when they fought. Derek Chisora gave him a real good fight.
yeah,
So, but that's because Derek Chisora's style. He's a person who's able to get on the inside. You know,
right, right. He
maybe
don't.
a Michael Hunter, but Michael Hunter is real small.
Yeah, there's very few guys that Vitali wouldn't be able to handle in the heavyweight division right now. I think he was that good, that good of a fighter. Let me see. Second Ezra said Wilder can fight Trevor Bryan. He
Why?
could. He could. I don't. He
Why
got a.
would he
Don't he
fight?
got a version? He got a regular version of a belt. They could lie to
But
the people and
apparently,
say,
WB are getting rid of that.
yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly.
I believe it when I see it in the dumpster. For sure. Like I believe it at that point. Yeah, but he could fight Trevor Bryan. There's a good second Ezra. There's a good 6 to 7 names Wilder can fight. Pay-per-view, he's the A side, he controls everything, and he
Trevor
gonna make a
Bryan
nice
is that
bag.
a pay per view? Is that a pay per view fight? Trevor
Any
Bryan versus Wilder.
anything Wilder is pay-per-view,
Trevor Bryan, bro.
but he can't go back to regular TV. That's so
Like,
it's not about
and
so is to answer your question, Trevor Bryan should be on nobody's pay-per-view main event billing. I know where you're going with it. Like
$100.
Trevor Bryan is just I like he
You don't be paying
like
$100 for a first round knockout. That's
yo,
what you guys will be
yeah,
paying.
I like that would piss me off just as much as seeing like Jay Leon Love is a co-main event of a pay-per-view. Like that, I was steaming about that. That was when he fought David Benavidez.
Yeah, and it was Errol Spence versus Mikey.
I was real hot about that, bro. I ain't even
But
gonna
that's a
lie.
good fight, though. Well, to be fair, Mikey versus Errol Spence was actually a high. If you think about it, now we use hindsight, that was actually just a robbery of a pay per view. Because there's
Did
no
you
way Mikey should have been in a ring with Errol.
did you see he put out a doctor's note from
Saying,
back then saying that he was sick going into that Spence fight? Did you see that? I'll send it
yeah,
to you. You seen
I
it?
didn't see it.
I'll
No.
send it to you. He literally was, I think he was going back and forth with somebody on Twitter, and he literally put up the doctor's note saying that he had something going into that Spence fight. And I'm like, bro, that fight, I said it wasn't nothing wrong with your right hand after the round, though. That's the only punch he threw. He was like, he get his ass whipped for 3 minutes. That bell rang. He like, ooh, finally. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Jamie said Dillian Hardest fight was Del Boy. The first fight was mental.
Both fights are mental.
Yeah,
Both fights are
both
mental.
fights. Yeah. Conrad Ruiz Areola was pay-per-view. Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. Like every Wilder fight is gonna be a pay-per-view fight because they're not gonna be able to pay that admission fee up front.
Just like Ruiz, every fight's gonna be a pay per view now.
Yeah,
Who does
absolutely.
Ruiz fight next?
He need to fight his tattoo artist. That's who he need to fight. Goddamn ass tattoo.
That's what chicks get, bro.
The chicks don't even get tattoos that big to cover their whole
Not
jank.
that big, but they get like little.
Yeah. That's just who was that? Was that Conrad? No, that wasn't Conrad. That was who was like he had to spread them for the finish work. That was
Oh jeez.
oh man, who was that? I forgot who said that, man. We still got it up on the channel on Instagram. Said Prime David Hay versus Usyk at cruiserweight.
Usyk.
He mops Hay. Mops him.
Usyk.
Because the thing is, David Haye was dynamic at cruiserweight, and I'm talking about athleticism and power. But the thing is, everything that Usyk does negates all of that.
Facts.
It negates all of
David
that.
Haye had to have his feet planted to land power shots.
He's
Usyk keeps you moving. He wasn't a guy who landed power shots whilst moving. So
yeah, David Haye can't do two things at the same time neither. If he's moving, he's moving. You know what I'm saying? But he can't move and punch at the same time. He literally has to stop moving in order for him to start throwing shots. He got to stop moving, plant his feet, and then throw the shot. You think Usyk letting him get away with that? Nope, not at all. Ruiz versus Hellenius. I actually don't like that fight for Ruiz. He'll win it, but
you think he wins that? He could potentially get knocked out in that fight, you know.
He could, but I would still take Ruiz in that fight. I think he'll pull.
I actually think he will win it, but I think that's a good fight.
I can't say that Hellenius will win that fight.
I'm not saying you. I think Ruiz will win it, but it's a good fight.
Let me tell you why though. Because then I would be co-signing pull counters from a guy like Hellenius, man, and I can't. I'm not ready to co-sign that yet. Because if I see that again in another fight, man, I might throw something at the screen, man. Like I'm like, yo, this dude is literally doing pull, and they was in slow motion too. Like they was in slow motion. It was like it was hilarious. Like, but you know what though? It showed, all joking aside, like it showed that he's actually in the gym working. And it's just,
but this is the thing, yeah. I don't know if you know this. Emmanuel Stewart said one of the most talented fighters he's ever coached was Robert Hellenius. Raw talent. He said Robert Hellenius was one of the most talented fighters. He just said he just never had the attitude. Like when he was coaching, he said this dude would be a world champion. When he was when Klitschko brought Hellenius into the gym, he said he brought Hellenius and Price into the gym, and he said those two fighters are just hitting ridiculously hard. But he said Hellenius is gonna be a world champion. Problem with him is he just don't have the right mentality. He's mentally he's just not good enough.
Yeah, he don't have that. He don't have that it factor. That thing you can't explain. He don't have it. And then he don't have the chin. So you gotta have the chin and the it factor. If you don't have neither one of them, you're not gonna survive in the heavyweight division.
He beat Kawanaki though. He absolutely annihilated Kawanaki.
He beat the brakes off Kawanaki, man. That was I kept telling Vlog, I said, bro, I'm like, that's a bad fight for Kawanaki. Now I didn't say that during the first fight. But when he signed up for the rematch, I said, bro, he got to go in a different direction. Nah. He got to go get that get back. I said, he going to get back up from the ground. That's what I was just like, that's a horrible fight for him. Jamie Leroy, do you rate Huey Fury? No. Shane, I was going to say, Shane, do I even need to ask you that? Dwayne Sewell, Hellenius, Roy Jones going to school Ruiz. LOL. That's funny. The thing is, he could win that fight. He could win that fight because he's so much bigger than Andy Ruiz. Like he could win that fight.
And he can box.
And he can box. Like Hellenius is not bad. Like,
and we know Ruiz has got slow feet. Ruiz is real slow.
Yeah, it's crazy. He said I like Hunter versus Joyce fight. I just think Hunter too small, man. I like Hunter. I like Hunter, man. I like Hunter, man. Hunter need to get on the show, man. He need to stop playing around.
Really do like Hunter, but I think
Joe Joyce a little too big, a little too strong.
I think Joe Joyce will have him.
Yeah, a little too active with the shots. That's a great
Joe
fight.
Joyce could win though. Well, I mean, Hunter could win.
He would have to. Whew, man, that's gonna be a tough fight.
He could do what Bryant Jennings done and win, because Bryant Jennings basically almost won that fight.
Yeah, but it's him getting rewarded for his work, though.
That's true.
That's the thing. Like, he has to get rewarded for his work, and I don't know if he's gonna get rewarded for his work at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
He didn't get rewarded against Povetkin.
He absolutely did not. He did not. Because to be honest with you, as much as I joke around and I'll be like, Povetkin won the fight rounds wise. It's two ways you can actually judge a fight when you're not an actual judge. I'm like, you can look at your scorecard and then at the end of the fight, sit and think like, who did I really like in that fight? When you're a fan, you could do that. I think Michael Hunter did the better work, in that fight. It was just, for some reason, it's just the rounds. I had the rounds counted up the way I had them. But I actually like what Michael Hunter did more in that fight than Povetkin did with him. But he made that fight more difficult for himself.
It's like Danny Garcia versus Sean Porter. Like,
Yeah.
I really like what Danny done in the fight, but Sean Porter had one more round.
No, actually, that's probably the perfect example. You know what I mean? That's the perfect example out of that. But we gotta get up off of here. Like,
Yeah, bro.
I left my man stranded for an hour because I fell asleep. But I had to come and at least give him an hour back. He was on an hour without me, so I had to give him an hour with him. We will be back in a couple of hours. I don't even know what the hell we gonna talk about, man.
I have no clue.
We gonna figure it out. We're definitely gonna figure it out. But this is kind of like a pilot type show. We'll probably do maybe one or two more next week around the same time and kind of promote it and see what we can actually do, if there's something that we're gonna do on a regular basis, just to cater to the UK
Or European
or European crowd. So we know, the Goodfellas podcast is a different monster. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's kind of late in terms of time, for our European people. So we're trying to bring something a little bit earlier that caters to you guys' time a little bit more, and we can kind of narrow down the topics. We can get really topic specific, where we can actually talk about certain European fights, and we ain't got to worry about talking about some TMZ type shit as far as America and stuff like that. And I'm in America and I'm saying it, you know what I'm saying? So we gonna just stay tuned in to us on social media. We're gonna give you updates on when. It'll probably be Tuesday and Thursday the next week, for sure. But keep in contact with us on social media.
Thursday, if I'm correct. Wait, let me think. When is Tim Zoo anyway? Is that the 17th?
I think it is. Let me check.
Check on the site.
Yeah, it's the 17th.
So that's next week Wednesday. So I'll be live for that fight.
So so that's Wednesday. What time though? What time is that fight? That early in the morning?
That'll be early in the morning for you.
Yeah, so
that might be like 10 a.m. for me. So that might be like 5 a.m. for you.
So that
or
means
6 a.m. something like that. I don't have to check. Ask L-Dub.
So I would possibly be able to get to the back end of that show, of that live. But that should be lit though. That should be lit for real, especially if we got a link. So possibly next week we're looking at the Goodfellas podcast Monday through Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 10 o'clock UK time, 2 o'clock on the West Coast, and then possibly the show earlier, Tuesdays and Thursdays, will go on what 5 o'clock your time, Shane? 5 your time?
Yeah.
Start 5 o'clock UK start time, 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time, and that would be a 9 a.m. start time out there in the West Coast where Blunt is. So and then we got the Tim Zoo fight on the 17th, which is I think we need to make a poster for that and tell everybody we're gonna be live.
We're live for Kid Galahad this week. Kid Galahad versus Tico
Tico
Martinez.
Martinez. We will be live for that. We will be live for the Jaime Munguia
Jaime Rosado.
Rosado fight.
Is Benavidez fighting this week as well, right?
Benavidez fighting this weekend
I
as
didn't
well.
put that on the site because that fight's just one sided.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that on the site. And then there's a replacement fight as well. So I would have, I wouldn't have put no stamp of approval on that anyway. It'd have just been a bunch of which round. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it'd been a bunch of which round. Like, it wouldn't have been no real intrigue with that. Second Ezra, he said, Jeff, did you tell Shane Gary Russell's new nickname? Yo, no, I didn't. And I'm glad you reminded me. Yo, second Ezra called this dude Gary Leap Year Russell, yo. Yo, he said that when I was on live Dolo yesterday, man. I was in here crying, bro. Like, I was in here crying. He called him Leap Year Russell. I was like, yo, I said, because I told second Ezra, I said, I gotta tell Shane and vlog that one. I was like, that was the comment of the night.
Definitely.
Jamie said, thank you guys.
Second Ezra, why are you not in the fantasy league? Jamie Leroy, why are you not in the fantasy? Not even Leroy, Leroy.
Dwayne is in his fantasy league.
He is in the fantasy league. I'm talking about second Ezra and Jamie Leroy.
Yeah, y'all gotta join the fantasy league, man. Y'all family at this point. Like, you gotta go to G5JeffTv.com and
try to win $500
smackaroos, man. 500 coming straight to your account from your boy. You know what I'm saying? And a belt. And you get a championship belt. You get a championship belt.
It's 100% free.
100% free. You get bragging rights. You be able to talk shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I can't win. I can't win. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't. Like, Shane can.
How can I win?
Huh?
How can I win?
No, you can win. You can win the belt. You can win the belt.
You can win the belt as well.
I wouldn't feel comfortable with the belt though.
You won it last season, so you might.
Yeah, I can't. But I
was telling people, this year is your best year of beating Jeff because you got off to a bad start. But I'm thinking, nah, because it's only one fight.
Yeah, I only need like two perfectos, and I'm straight. I'm right back to it. But the thing is,
I just pick one draw or something, and then
I picked the draw, and it's like, you know what I'm saying. But you know the thing that's crazy though is so many people that's in the league is actually learned from the podcast that we've been doing that people are actually really making smart. They start to predict like us. They start to predict like us. Like, so even if I
stop giving up tips,
even if I lose, I feel part responsible for the winner. Like, so I'm gonna win regardless. I'm gonna win regardless. But
look at Will Stokes, bro. Will Stokes, he's improved dramatically this season.
So I feel like we're more so like the professors, and you know what I'm saying, it's kind of like watching your students grow.
Literally,
you know what I mean? Like, that's literally how it is. So for me,
but
it's not even.
I still think you're gonna win, though. I
think it's just for my own personal satisfaction. Like, it's just, you know, like, it is what it is. For me, I'm like, if I'm in the top 5, because I'm literally giving out a cheat code. For me to be in the top 5 in any league, after me giving out cheat codes, I'm literally telling you like what you should pick. And then I go pick it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. But yeah, Jamie Leroy and second Ezra, you gotta join the fantasy league. Like, y'all family at this point. Go join the fantasy league. If y'all got friends and family that's in the boxing and they want to join as well, have them join as well. Even if they're not in the lives or anything, have them join the fantasy league so they can make their predictions. And you know, we trying to build it, but we're gonna get up off this thing. We'll be back in a couple hours to be talking about something. I don't know what we can talk about, but we're gonna talk about something. But definitely follow us on social media. Shane, give them your social media real quick, brother.
I'm Shane the number 1.
Exclusively on Instagram. You can follow me all over the place: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything G5JeffTv. Go to the website G5JeffTv.com. If you need to reach out to us via email, contact at G5JeffTv.com. If you have any media requests or anything like that along business wise, you can contact us at media at G5JeffTv.com. So you got a couple of different ways to get in contact with us. We will be back this afternoon. Well, in a couple hours. Second Ezra said he's joining. Absolutely, brother.
I respect
Absolutely.
that.
It's only right.
G5JeffTv.com. That's all you need to do.
Yes, G5JeffTv.com. So we'll be back in a couple of hours. But this pilot show is probably going to go down, like I said, Tuesdays, Thursdays.
And we'll see from there.
We'll see from there. And if it works out well, then we're going to completely brand it. We're going to come up with a name for it, logo for it, give
Everything.
it a whole different pitch, whole different look. Like the Goodfellas logo wouldn't be in the corner. We'll come up with something, just something for Shane and myself. And
if you even got concepts that you want added to it, like you personally want us to add to it, just let us know via Instagram or whatever you think we should add to it.
If you have ideas for the show, even if you want us to partner up with someone.
Yeah, or
collaborations. Yeah.
Or if you want a certain topic that you think is a good topic to talk about, because it's UK or European stuff, so we're just trying to target a different audience. We kind of got the 10:30 show down pat, so we're just trying to find different pockets of time.
Yeah. I wish Lori. Lori would be the guy for me. Lori would be the guy for me, like for real. Like
I'll hit him up.
Even if it's like one day.
Let me jump off.
Go ahead. We're gonna see y'all in a couple hours, man. On behalf of VP Shane and G5JeffTv, we are out.